وعلازي كل تشحن عصر شوعتنا أو تمرتي جميرو كل تشحن عصر شوعتنا أو تمرتي جمرت له عا بفلاي نايتهم نفتوهم دكنا مساي عدل انتاي كخونيو ما من التجارو مستقل جزء نمكحلو نخرعلو ناي نسأنت ناي عبيد ناي معبالة تاريخ خما يتطوكبل بشحاتنا مسئنا دكنا بزح فتيرنا إناوزي وليدنا إنام جن أمونغو أمريكاوينتن تجراوينتن زلو مكررامن مرحقن بطعمي زسكف سلازنبرة زي كستهاخل اللو بزبل حدا كالاي أنحنا كعد زمس أنا سباتون مستزلنا يعدي تتحيز كمخاد بإيكونومي بمحبراوي بتي بوليتيكال ركباتون مساعدنا كله زخيل أمريكان تجراين أم تسارنون عبي كفت السلال نورا زيتات نمعباس زي بكمينيتي تاع الدرجة أمبريلا ويكعسلال محور كوينو استمسرته وعلى محور السب تجراي كن مسرت كيل ناينا زي محور زي كابز مسرت عبيتي زبهالو قوم نجارات أكايدلو تحدث أيو دكنا أو قندي زلو رايو ودي زخونيو زوم دكنا زيوم بحادة زحابرلو نايتجارو بروفيشنال نتورك زبهال تفتيرو الساتهم كعا مستكاب عدز مسأنا ولدو زلو كفتت نكعاس إيو عبي نايمر إحنا شجقرون خجبر ناجور ناس أن إحنا عنا تجارو بروفيشنال نتورك كابزمس جميرو بزح نجارات الناس روح مسيميوم بزحات شابترات التفلالي بوتا زرقي حميوم نعد بلان عمتاوينا تجراي قعزو ون دك تجراي بزبل عبي بروجكت اللوم أقعد أم خوينو زلنا يخونو تاتكوتلنا أب إيكونومينا أب سوشيال إنجيجمنت بزح زنتفو عبيتي مراحتي فتيرنا لنا بزعوات تجرايون مسائي ولدتاتنا تقبابله مستجراي زت أساسر نيشتن تجراي أب أمريكا زمرح زلو ولدتات نبع الحياة لهم زحز وصل زخونو نالهم معنتي إيفنت خايدو زنيون بآتهم عقمن كإلتن فلتاتن استمركز سلازخونه ني دكنا نتجارو بروفيشنال نتورك عبي نادان كبرن كنهو ميقبا تجارو بروفيشنال نتورك بتقول حسبنا يو بسلام جيزي ناي تكنولوجي شجقر كجورو أوزيون ناي إيكونومي عقم فترو تمرتي أكاديميكس ساينس تكنولوجي كم بحلك وسدو زبل حساب قوات النبرة أقاط أم خوينو زب حزبنا بس يحزلو كوينات جينوسايد كفترتلو قدم خلون لعل خلون دمس حزب زخونو الساتهم سلا زخونو ناينا دكنا زينا تجرا جينوسايد مريحهم عبي ناي دبلوماسي ناي لوبي ناي بزح سراحتي أكل بمخان ويكعمر إحنا بمخان تجراي أب عالم نختفلت تمنا مجمرة تكوست يتخوينو من الناس لزلوا حزون كنا نقوم يجبنا بتعمي يقني لنا هنقول لهم يجبا أبزي قط عمي TPN كاول عالكو كحلفو زيد اللي كافتهم أب كدميت زمر حزنورو حنت زنورت أوزنا لما عنتنا كايدو زلنا ون عبي ناي أمرارحة أكل زنبرت مساوون بصبو مرددا زنبرنا نشتن قوالي حافتنا مراحيتنا زهير إبراهيم بيت سباب زي اللو بطعمي قني لنا خنولو ميقبانا نعوم أمو وعلانا أب أمريكا معملت زخونت تخباريت زخونت توداداريت زخونت تصنو فتاريت زخونت نيشتن تجراي مفتاريو إذا نيشتن تجراي بخلتشن 10 شعتن أب دنفر تنام جمرة وعلى تجراي مسريتنا يلنا نايم عباي بروسس يحزز قصة زلو إذا بروسس زيك عام تزولكهم زمرحوا مناسيات دكنا يوم بقعة اللوم فلتة اللوم كل نجر اللوم أنحنا كعد زمسنا بفلاي كل إمنة نعوم شكيمنا نقدميت سنكو جعزو أنا بدحريهم كنا أجهم كنولهم كل نجار كندقفوا لهم يجبأ لبل ملختب بمتحللاف وعلى كافتم سرح فسمتنا حموشته سلستيهم الساتهم أوزيز توليدهم زعبيو حيلهم حسن خويني مسيو إزيهم من خمرحنا جرنا لنا سلزي وعلنا نايجس الجسر نا ترانزيشن ون تأمر حزوز مساء عبي جسجاسي محبر مخانو أوزي قرب من قديك جلس دليلية سلزي كلاتنا كم تجارو سلز خلنا طرح حبيرنا بزعب محبراونا برنا بزعب إيكونومينا بزعب مننتنا نزات هلو نعبيلو محبر كوميونيتي طرح يومو كوميونيتي خاع بزوحات فلاتات ببوتو لو تحاجزنا خاع خمسي بعمت نتراخبنا أوشتنا نبيننا زي سرحهم كحبيرنا الناس رحنا نقدميت كنعبي كنقسقس ما أخلنا قدميتنا مناسياتنا هنقبر زعلمه سرح سرح زلو أو كله كوميونيتي زيولكمون كوميونيتي كلوكم كنحجزينا كوميونيتي لكم مفتوح على أكل زي كونون بليز وعلى أكل كونوا حبرت راح نقدم تكوسد الناس خل ندحر زي حبيرنا ترجمية ولنا حبرت كعا بفقر يخون تجارو حدا سلز خلنا كم عبي بيتسبن الرأي عبي فقر يهلونا متحل لا يهلو متحق جاز يهلو بدحري Ethiopian نا economy عقم مفتقرة قداس خوين سلزر أنا يو ناي North Bridge Connect زبهال نا investment organization كنفتر كيلنا هنا التحساس بوقعة بنورز أمريكا درجة عبينا economy قلسم كلونا اللووي عاوزين دحر هفتيمنا تجراي نمهفتام كليلي عاوزين دحر زي هفتيمنا تجراي كاف سمعت وصعب منهم هنجبر اللاين خلن سلازي الساتهم صباحون مدبلهم أفتنا يصبح مدب مورك ناقري بعلم مالتيو كالي ناي تجارو مندر دكنا حبيرهم زعابيلو مندر كدلينا يو زي مندر زي community center نولو مالتيو نالو معنتو يتحدى كافتو أزيو كم نجر زلو لو من تين جبر لنا صباح تهن جبرينا دحر صباح تهن جبرينا زولو أرستات بتوسخي اتو أتهاوز خنزلو كلها بيني ني تو هوست كوميونيتي زوعل مالتي سلازي لذو صحهم وقرشهم قبل علت تحوسنا تمخخرنا تزاتينا هين مين تهالنا مخد ني ابزي شيكاغو زل كوميونيتينا مندر مغز يخون له مالتي ام مندر دقنا خابيو تግራዋይነት ام مندر يزعبي ابب غزانا طرح يكونن زعب سلازي ازيون حدا هنغبرلو يغبانا كابل عامتا جميرو آمين كابز هذي زلنا يو جزء جميرو زكايد نايلي فنتي برنامج زبالالله السوق واحد بدن بكفالتيو لفنتي برنامج مالت لما عنتي كله أمريكا زلوا كان إشتنسك عبي أبز عامتا 10 أرش تهونا $10 تهونا سلست 4 حموشتا كمينيتي سات كمينيتي سنتر كلهم كن جبرينا مالتي زي عبي نجري أبز جزء زلنا يو نهنداويان بيزنسيو الصومت أمز جورو كم زعقوب نجار تأخاخيوم نحدا يجزءلو ندعنا روح سريحهم كأن خالي كم إننا تصفح في خد مالتي أنا حناون كم إننا هنجمر بيزنسات ناون كم يوم كجمرو بايزوينا بيزنس سوات اللو الصوم سجل سوات لازدلي نعم كحد قال لهم إيه كم عينة أسرار حق كم زلون كحبر يدلي مالتي خالي بيتسوشتي موت كفترت له ناي توت مزبع له السو نمكوز صار emergency funding زل project جميرنا لنا emergency funding حزق كايد زقبويو كحز جميرو خنجمرو صباح ساعات كل توزي meeting له سوون بinvestment committee ناخذ لسيو أو ممكن الساتف حدا راح ولي دلي تخلينا 10 عامات قولناي come to دكنا وزي كوينن زنقرانا زنبرا أن إحنا كعدهم مسألنا أجمرينا إنا مسينا عز أجم جزء سل المسألة بزح بيت السوينا ندقف زين تقرأ أجم آتيه بحالته حزنا درج جزء هيوتنا تمرسنا النورز لنا مالتي محجزك بحالته ولا زي اللو تلك حاول محجز له ما ترشاقن أرجانك مسيو نفسها كتحجز لدلك جزء مسألة مالتي سلزي عوشت 10 عامات نايب عرسنا سينيور سنتر كلونا له زي كبرنا كحلونا منتان زي أب حدا كوميونيتي زرخص بيلدينغ زركبلو جن كعات كوميونيتينا نعوم مانج كجبر عام بزل اللبوتا كنت جبروينا كلاتنا بحد خوينا كبري ننحد حد تجراوي نا كلاتنا تجراي كبر مخان تردينا كلاتنا تجراي مخان تردينا أب أمريكا ترح يكونن أب أمريكا أب يوروب أب أستراليا أب إيجيا أب أفريقيا زل كله تجراوي تأساسيرو تجراينا عباي كونتن كاب عباي كنجبرا معرة تنزلوا معولات عد كنجبرا سلنخل أوزيتات كل جزيت أساسيرنا هنسرح كنرددا كنمخاخر positively engage كنجبر حدرا خبلي دلي أوزي بفلاي مهران حواتنا أوزو زلنا grand زخونة vision كتحجزو تدليو ideas زلكم وعلنا نايبيت السبا كايد أيزخيد صبغ بيت السب يهين مهيني بهال صبغ بيت السب نحد حساب نتحد حساب أين سجون سلزي حسابات كله تقبلنا إنهن معبل نخيل أو زي بس إحنا زلنا ونكم سلزي جبرنا أيو تجراي تعمب بدكة تجراي تلملم نيشتن تجراينا أمريكا ونتلملم يقني اللي يصير سمعكوني
Good morning, everybody. It's always difficult to follow the lion boss, as we call him. Oh, is this one better? Is this one better? Ooh, even I can feel it, the vibration. My name is Hayalom Tadessa, and I'm here from Atlanta, Georgia. And I've been involved, as Mr. Mulligate has mentioned, as a part of the founding members of TPN, a part of the forum board, NBC, and in just anything that I could do or my family could do to support our community. So first, I just want to thank all of you. Right? I know it's difficult to travel, so for all of you who've made the trip, thank you for being here, and for those of you who are here locally, thank you for making the time to be with us today. I also want to take a moment to express our gratitude to the local Chicago community. For being such gracious hosts. Thank you for welcoming us and making us feel as if we're home, and certainly appreciate that. I also want to make sure we recognize the Wa'ala Committee, which is a small group of individuals, as well as the many hands that have worked really, really hard over the last several months to plan this event for you. Oftentimes, you don't see the hands behind the scene that is doing all the work, but we see it and we thank you. I know you've had many tireless nights. You're probably having many more tireless nights throughout this week, but really appreciate everything that you're doing to make this possible. So my objective for the next few minutes, and I'll try to keep it as brief as I can, is to share our vision, why that vision is important, some key milestones we want to achieve in the next 20 years, and how you all can play a critical role. Because it will only work when we do this together. So the vision, actually, the dream is really, really simple. It's how we get there that creates complexities, hurdles, and challenges for us. So ultimately, we want to build a little but mighty Tigray in diaspora that is united under common goals and purposes. And to me, these common goals and purposes, one, it starts with education. We have to have a strong educational program, whether it's vocational or personal, professional development programs, so that we have a more informed and prepared community. And once we have that, and it could be various sectors, various items, it will lead to developing an economic growth for us. And that economic growth could be creating the next millionaire in tech in our community. It could be supporting our local businesses. It could be ensuring that the dollar circulation stays within our community before we enrich somebody else. We have to have that. And once we have the education and the economic power and growth, then we will be in a position to wield the power of geopolitics, right? Everybody wants something. And if you think about what is the one thing that gets everybody listening. It's a global currency, right? Once you have that, especially when it comes to high-power strategic partnership, sometimes you have to buy relationships through funds, through economic power. Sometimes that is what is going to open doors for us. So that next component is really, really critical. And as a result, what we will have is the capacity to innovate and to empower our youth and our women. We gotta make sure we are preparing them for for the future. Therefore, building the next generation of leaders. And ultimately, that has to be our identity in education, in economic strength, in geopolitical strength, building strategic alliances, all for innovating and building the opportunities for our youth to leverage. So imagine for a second, if we were to just accomplish a fraction of that, where we would be in the next 5 to 10 years. Just a fraction of that. So all it takes is a little bit of effort. So you might be asking yourself, why is this important? Why does it matter? To me, it's really, really simple. Because if we don't, no one else will. No one is thinking about the Tigrayan community and saying, you know what, let me go save them. It doesn't happen like that. And I'll share a recent example. Think about what happened in Ukraine recently, right? Look how they're being treated, how their country is being decimated. But now look at how the world responded to that, right? We do have people that are on our side, allies. We have people fighting for us, right? But you could tell the difference. Now we know the magnitude that in the threat that Russia poses to the global world versus Ethiopia. We understand that. However, the outpouring of support that they received is very clear. Now, I would be curious if you can find an example where, if there is not one example where a non-white nation that got decimated, destroyed, right, sent away from their homes, and the world came together and said, nope, we don't approve of that. It doesn't happen to non-white nations, right? They get treated differently. We don't get that same level of treatment. And the sooner we recognize that, the quicker we will be in a position to change our behavior. We have to be those heroes that we're waiting for. And in my mind, this is the only way that we can truly save Tigray and help build the infrastructure that we and our people desperately need. It's the only way we can truly serve our people and build sustainable, strategic solutions for back home. You know, when you go into a fight, or if you're an athlete going into a competition, or preparing for anything in life, you have to be ready for it. You don't just jump in. As an athlete, what do you need to do? You need to eat right. You need to rest. You need sleep. You need to build mental focus. You need to practice, preserve your energy, and so on. Otherwise, you will always lose when playing on an empty stomach. That's just the reality of it. And if we do not build a strong economic foundation here, if we do not educate our people here, empower them with knowledge, skills, and capabilities, and if we do not open new markets, create new pathways for us to gain success, build new industries, innovate, establish strategic partnership, then we will always go into the fight out-resourced, tired, and on an empty stomach. I say all of this to say we must first be strong here and come together under a common purpose if we truly want to save our people and our country. It starts here first. So what are we doing in the next 20 years? What are the things that we want to establish and accomplish? Mr. Mulugeta touched on a few of them. A few others for me is, one, if we, in the next 2 to 3 years, we had a 5-year plan a few years ago. In the next 2 to 3 years, if we do not get together and unify under this common goal and purpose, we're just creating more challenges for us to overcome. Unnecessary, avoidable challenges. We want to open our own bank. Why do we go to non-Tigrayan-owned banks and pay them significant interest rates and rely on them, you know there's discrimination here in the States, to say, I approve and I will give you the funds that you need. Why couldn't we create our own bank? We have enough resources. We have enough knowledge and insight to be able to do that. So our goal in the next couple of years is to open and operate our own bank. Establish a scholarship fund. How many of our students, Maria and I were talking earlier, just a couple $100s for our students can make significant improvements in their lives. We just started a scholarship recently, but we should invest more so more of our students can get the financial relief that they need and focus on the important things, which is learning, growing, and coming into the world in a better positioned place. How do we establish community centers? If you think about that first element of education, without community centers, it's going to be really difficult. So our goal should be build a community center wherever there is a concentration of Tigrayans, which is why we are here today. How do we establish formal grants? We cannot keep just tapping into our own pockets. There's billions of dollars out there looking for communities like us that they want to invest in. So we got to get smarter, more innovative, and attract more resources and build that alliance that we need. How can we get Tigray to be the global hub of technology and medicine? India did it. How far away are they from us? Why couldn't we do it? Why can't we become that tech hub in Africa? We have the ability to do it. We have the minds. We have a young population. I'm not sure if everybody understands the population, the average median age of Ethiopia or Tigray. It's about 18. So we have a young population. But who's planting the seeds in their minds? Who's creating the dreams for them? Somebody else is. Why are we not? Why isn't it us doing it for them? And how do we increase home ownership? And if there's one thing I want everybody to leave this conference with, and I hope you all spread it to your friends and colleagues as they come in, is most of our families do not have 401ks or pension plans. How do we ensure every single Tigrayan household has life insurance, term life insurance? They're not expensive. And if you don't have a lot of funds, you need to have life insurance. $10, $15 a month can provide you $50, $100, $200,000, $500,000 of life insurance if something happens. Like, we should leave here, every single one of us, get ready to sign up for that. That is the kind of protection that we have to put in place so that the forum is not constantly thinking about how do we reserve $50,000, $100,000 in case something happens and we lose somebody in our family, then we got to tap into that, as opposed to using that to reinvest in our youth, but ensure everybody has life insurance in place. There was a gentleman, we were doing a startup pitch. He said he was one of the founders, organizers of the Million Man March. I hope everybody knows what that is. One of the things that he said he wanted to do but couldn't because he didn't have the ability to influence everybody is he wanted every single black male and female in attendance to buy life insurance, right there and there, because he knew in the next 10, 20 years, that would have been a seismic of generational wealth that could have been generated. We can do that ourselves now. We have to educate our people in order to do that. And so how are we doing all of this today? So right now we have, I believe, 12 committees that exist under the Tigray Communities Forum, TPN being one of them. We have the Investment Committee, we have the Women Committee, we have the Identity Committee, and several more. But we need more help. We cannot continue to rely on the very few to carry on the burden of getting us to that promised land, whatever it is, that promised land that we dream about. We have to do this collectively. We need everyone, this is my call to action to you, to show up, get in the game, educate if you have that background and desire, serve, little things that we can do to support one another, lead, focus groups, invest, speak up, say something, do something. Just get involved. And we can show you how you can make that difference and that impact. And I'll give you one example, a task for tonight. If tonight, once the event is completed, if every single person picks up something from the floor, from the tables, and throws it away, imagine what that will do for the 5 or 10 people that have to stay behind to always clean up. If we do not do these little things well, we will fail when big challenges are ahead of us. So I hope you are able to do something, get involved, and help us get to the promised land. Together we will do it. Divided, we will always fall. I hope you enjoyed the rest of today's events this evening. Hopefully some of you are ready to go running, get, the sweat out in the morning tomorrow. But really appreciate you listening, being here. I think the first step is always to show up. You've done that. Thank you. Now let's get Tigrai to where it needs to be. So for this section, we're gonna talk to our esteemed guest, Maui Askodom, in terms of our future in tech, our future in entrepreneurship, and how can we as a community learn from his experience and what are the opportunities that are in front of us. And I'll give you a chance, Maui, to kind of tell a little bit about your background, but for those of you who do not know Maui, as one of our son and great leader in the community, has done incredible things, whether it is on the educational front, whether it is as an author, providing the right knowledge at the right time to learn about our history through him and how we can as a community or individuals get better, whether it was through entrepreneurship, building his own organization and creating an amazing empire. So we're hoping through this conversation that we can learn from you, Maui, and take one or two things that you feel either the youth, our women, or our community can learn from. So thank you for making the time to be here today.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you.
All right, let's get to it. So, Maui, I think you know your story better than I do, than everybody in this room, maybe with the exception of your amazing mother. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, your education, so the audience can know you a little bit more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hayalom. And, I was looking out at the crowd and a lot of new faces, a lot of people I know from growing up here in the Chicago area. And, you might be asking, Maui, why are you here? Why are you on the stage with Hayalom? What motivated you and inspired you to connect with the Tigrai community, to love the Tigrai community? And, in the Bible, it says, we love God because he first loved us. And I love the Tigrai community because the community first loved me. When I was growing up, all the people, I see so many faces here, people who encouraged me, people who inspired me, people who helped me out when I was going through a hard time, people when I was going on my way to Harvard. I've never been there. I just got accepted. People like my good friend Wada down here who helped me out and encouraged me, slip a little money in my pocket, help me get through what's going on, right? These are, and so when we think about what we want for our youth, we have to first love and encourage them and help them succeed if we want them to love Tigrai, support the community. And so all the work, same thing with our women, same thing with everything in our community. So I'd say that's the first thing I want everybody to really think about. And that's what I think is the root value why we're all here, is the love and care we have for one another and wanting to see everybody in the community flourish. And that's a common theme, I think, that unites us, right? So as to my background, I was born in Tigray, and as many of you here, during the war, had to flee to Sudan. Through the courage of my mother, I was able to survive and reconnect with my father there. Came here as a refugee. I was resettled in the Chicago area just in time to start first grade. And my parents, what they always told me, I give them a lot of credit, my mom and dad. They always told me, you can do anything in this country. There's no limits to what you can accomplish. You are intelligent. Even when I didn't know any English, and I was the last place in school because I was in the English program, my parents had no doubt that I could be an educated, intelligent person that could have a bright future. So the first thing we always have to provide with our kids is a vision of them with an unlimited future and potential, no matter what their starting point is. To believe that they can learn and grow beyond our imagination, and there's nothing that our kids cannot do. Do you believe that? There is nothing that our kids and that we as a community cannot do. And when you believe that about your kids, even if you're living in low-income housing, even if you're working as a janitor, even if you're struggling to make money doing whatever it was that my family went through, that gives the kids that hope, right? Knowing that their parents believe in them. I had a lot of fits and starts, but they told me education is the key to this country. And I saw all the immigrants I saw growing up around me, all the parents had to work the worst jobs, a lot of them, for the least amount of money. Is that true? Had to work the worst jobs for the least amount of money because they didn't have the education and the networking opportunities. They made a tremendous sacrifice. It became clear to me if I wanted to have more opportunity, education was the way. In high school, I started to get it more through some mentoring. And you know what builds confidence for our kids? Just a little taste of success. You know what helps you become successful? Success. The more you succeed, the more confidence you have. It's not just your mom and dad telling you you're great. When you go out there and you do well academically, you go out there, you do well on the track, you go out there and you see what you can do, that powers you up. That's why I always tell kids, if you want to be confident, accomplish things, do things, master things, learn things. My confidence grew. Was lucky enough to get accepted to Harvard University. I still remember the day I was able to tell my mom and dad, you know, I got accepted to universities, we get a scholarship there. I showed up there, and I will tell you, I never had a doubt or fear that I could be successful because of the courage that I already saw from the previous generation and what they could do. I already knew what our people could do. And although there were some tough times, deep down, I knew I could do it. I never doubted once because I already see what our people can do. And you know what our greatest resource is? It's our human capital and the people in this room and our kids and the people and how we build each other up. That's our greatest resource by far, each other. So that's so I graduated from Harvard, and from there I started my business career. The big themes though are love from the community, importance of education. Don't put any limits on any kid of any kind. Even my own son right now, he wants to play in the NBA. I don't think you see a lot of Habesha dunking in the NBA, right?
Hey, hold on.
I will never.
Whoa. Tennis ball.
All right, there you go, all right?
I could do it with the real basketball.
You say he can dunk with the tennis ball. But you know what? My son can do it. Why would I ever tell a kid they can't do something? Am I right?
Yes.
Don't ever tell a kid they can't do something.
Okay.
Ever. Don't ever tell a kid they can't do something they want to do. Don't ever do it. It's a mistake, all right? If a kid has a dream, you support them. You also challenge them to do their education, but you never limit anybody's dreams in the world, okay? That's really important.
Stemming from that, I have a quick question.
A little louder, brother.
Stemming from that, right, you know, typically in our community, there are very specific things that, from a career or education, that, you know, they kind of push us towards. We know the main three, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Doctor, lawyer. Yeah, right, we know them. So, question to you, though, is, you know, knowing that your mother, it was similar to mine, by the way, empowered you to say you could do whatever you want and did not put limitation, what did that mean to you? Like, how did you take that in, and how did that impact your journey?
Well, you feel some pressure as a kid. I want the older generation to know that. Because you look around, you know, you see what's up. You see how hard it is for everybody, for your family. And the easiest thing is to take a guaranteed job where you can pay the rent. And if you pick something like being an engineer or being a doctor, those are fantastic fields, right? We should respect those fields. And anyone in here who's gone down that path, I have deep admiration for you and respect for the hard work you've put in. And there comes also more stability with that, right? And so when you're coming up like I did without money, where there's a Toyota dealership in a town here called Lombard that I drive down when I see it. It's a huge dealership, guys. You know what I think about when I see that dealership? My brother and I used to clean that entire thing on Saturday nights for $60, cash. The whole thing. Some of y'all have seen me do it. You know it's true. That's what I did in Saturday nights when I was in high school, okay? I was working hard. It was not easy. None of it was easy. So when I drive by that, by the way, my first new car I bought it from that dealership. Because I used to think, I used to go clean the cars and be like, I wonder who can afford a car for $8,000. It's crazy. But I went back to that same place. They didn't believe me when I told them I used to clean this place. But I showed them the whole part where you have to clean the muffler part in the back, the used car. Yeah. But one thing that's really important for our community to understand is every kid is wired differently. Some kids are wired to be an engineer. That's what they're meant to do, and they'll thrive in that community. Some kids are wired to be doctors, and they thrive in that. Some kids are wired to be artists. Some kids are wired, our kids are all set up differently in terms of their hearts, their talents, and abilities. If we try to squeeze every single kid into one or two things that we think is best for them, we will have a lot of damage along the way. What will happen is some of the kids will do it just to make us happy, but they'll regret it their entire time. What will happen is, and we're people who can get through anything, so some of our kids will do that. Yeah. Some of our kids will have had tremendous talent and potential they could have unlocked in different ways, and they will miss out on that. So what I will say, the thing I appreciate about my parents, my mom and dad, they had a lot of trust in me. They trusted me. And when I told them, hey, I'm gonna do some writing, I'm gonna do some speaking, and by the way, when I did that, just so y'all know, I also had to have a temp job where I would go work for $10 an hour as a Harvard grad to get started. I was willing to do the hard work. And some people were like, what, you went to Harvard and you're doing this and that? And like, you're not even as successful as what we thought you would be in the first year? Yeah, my first year, I made less than $8,000. That's revenue. And I had to get other jobs to power my entrepreneurial dreams. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur. You don't just make money the first year. So it's hard when you're going down that path, Hayalom, and you see your other friends making money, you see the other Harvard grads doing stuff, you see the expectations of the community. But you know what I told myself? And this is what I'd say to all the kids in here. You can do it in a responsible way. Here's what I mean. I told myself, I will find a way to support myself and still help my family a little bit. And I'm gonna make sure I pay my bills. And I'm gonna give myself a timeline. So I'm not gonna do this for 5, 10 years without making any money. But when someone's young, that's your chance. I could live, when I'm 22, I can live on $900 a month. I got roommates, I eat some rice, and I'm gonna fight and hustle to get that dream and pay that price, because right now I have 4 kids. I can't do that right now. I got a 1-year-old, 7-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Kids require energy, time, and money, okay? Right? But when you have that crack when you're 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, it's good. We want our kids to take those experiments and go for it, if that's what's in their heart. So I would say to all the older generation, the big takeaway, Hayalom, is understand there's tremendous diversity in our kids. We have to get to know our kids. Ask them, what is it that you love to do? What makes you happy? What makes you come alive? Then also tell them, I have the expectation that you also support yourself. And you make money for yourself. And what's your plan to do that? To operate within your passion and what you want to work in and the things that God has gifted you with and still be successful. So that's kind of how I got my start. Then Hayalom, for me, I got fortunate, I praise God. I was able to get on the Oprah show within 2 years. I got a book deal with Time Warner Book Company. And one of my friends says, God hits a moving target. Once you start moving and you start doing stuff, the community and God will show up to support you. When people ask me to mentor you, I always mentor them. I always ask them, Hayalom, what have you done for yourself already? If you don't believe in yourself, why should I? If you haven't worked hard to move towards your dream, why should I work hard to move towards your dream? I'm not just gonna support you and do all this stuff for you just because you're a kid from Tigray. I'm a busy professional doing stuff, but if I see that you're doing stuff and you're working hard, for example, there's a young lady from our community, Hayalom, named Fanus. She wrote a book, you know, about her journey. And one of the things you and I talk about is the importance of supporting our are women entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely.
And Hayalom, so what I did was, she didn't even know I was doing this, but I went on Amazon, I bought 10 copies of the book. She has a booth out there. She didn't even have any copies with her to sell. Fortunately, I had my 10 copies. I gave them to her. It's about mental health and immigrant mental health. But we should expect our youth to take the first few steps. Youth, you gotta help yourself before anyone else can help you. That's okay for us to demand that of you. You gotta be out there hustling and doing it, but as soon as they take the step, we gotta be out there buying their books, supporting their businesses, and helping them get to the next level. We have to mentor them, help them, and support them. And so, by the way, her name is Fanus. The book is Immigrant Mental Health. It's a great book, similar to a topic that my sister was actually talking about earlier, Mehret. But that's how I see it, Hayalom. This is a new day. We can't just force people to be engineers and doctors. There's a million different industries our kids can be successful in.
Thank you for sharing that. Because as I'm hearing you speak, by the way, this is like details that I'm also learning in his stories. You know, there's some resemblance somewhat to my story as well. But the question I want to ask you is, you know, as you were thinking about the next step after Harvard, you know, how did you get to either the insight, the knowledge that you needed, or what was the importance of having networks and mentors? Like, what did that do for you?
Yeah. This is probably where our Habesha community needs to step up our game the most. Networking, relationship, we can't get to where we're going to, where we want to go to, the vision you laid out, just on our own. We have to have partnerships, alliances, and networking. One of the things my mom says is, right? Like, if you want to know a lot, you got to go see a lot and know a lot of people. My network, we think in the Habesha community, if I just outwork people, if I can just get through challenges and outgrit people, I'll be successful. That's true. If you're a hard worker out there, Hayalom, and you just say, I'm going to do this through my sheer hard work, you will get this level of success. You'll have some success, like this level. If you do it with other people and support, you'll be up here. So it's not that you can't be successful, you'll get somewhere here. So for example, my idea to write my first book, one of my friends from Harvard, if you went to his room, he didn't have posters in his room. He already, as a 21-year-old, had written a book and had the pages of his book up on his room. And he actually self-published his book and got a 7-figure deal with HarperCollins. I'd never seen anything like that before. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. So I said, Ben, how'd you do this? He showed me what he did, everything. When I was starting my company, I started speaking and writing, but you know what got me into technology? One of my customers was the biggest online high school in the world. They have over 200,000 students in one school. They invited me to come speak to their staff of 2,000 people. I didn't even know online education was so big. But then they were my customer in 2010 for speaking. Then I just said to them, hey, I'd love to learn more about what you're doing in online education. I haven't seen this. I became friends with the CEO, a wonderful woman named Julie Young. She gave me my first contract. This white woman from Florida who, I don't know, didn't know me from anybody. She gave me my first contract. She taught me how to do online education. Then between 2011 and 2019, I built the biggest online education company in K-12 for social emotional learning, my passion. And I built a real company, a technology-based company. And then I sold that company in 2019. You know how kids have to take the ACT or the SAT in this country? I sold my company to the ACT. So imagine when I was 17, 18, people told me you have to take this test called the ACT to go to college. I never imagined I would one day sell the company to them. I'd be working with their CEO. I would be the chief advisor on social emotional learning, on social for ACT in more than 100 countries. That's why I told you there's nothing that our kids can't do no matter where you start.
Yes.
The tests that your kids are taking right now, they might own the test someday.
Yes.
Okay? That's how you're thinking. And how did I think about the idea to sell my company? Because another one of the vendors who sold to that same customer, Florida Virtual School, I was sitting down with him, and he had sold his company. I took him out to dinner. I paid for his dinner. And I just asked him, hey, how'd you do that? Was it a good idea? He told me everything he did. See, our community, we're more likely to start a restaurant. Nope. Hey, I love Tigist at Damara, and she's a phenomenal businesswoman, and I wish her all the success. And I'm proud to say I was her first customer. She catered my wedding before the restaurant opened, okay? So that's my girl, Tigist, at Damara. Those are good kind of businesses. We can't just stay in the lane of restaurants, cabs, things that aren't built to scale. We have to have businesses that scale, where I'm talking to you right now, and I promise you there's some kids logged in right now taking my classes and learning about leadership. And I'd already sold the company. So I couldn't figure all this out by myself, though, Hayalam. Yeah. I figured that out from conversation to conversation to conversation to conversation, talking to all sorts of people, all the youth that are here. If you're in an industry, you have to go to the trade conferences. You have to talk. I spend a lot of time when I go to conferences. I go look at all the booths that you see out here. Sometimes I go to conferences, there's 1,000 booths. I talk to them. I ask them, what's selling the most? Who are your best customers? I can just look at their brochure and see who their customers are, right? We have to be thinking that, hey, I'm not just gonna work here or do this, I'm going to own it. All the wealth and all the opportunity is in ownership. Ownership isn't an only thing. It's not an important thing. For wealth generation, it's the only thing. That's how people make a lot of money in this country. You have to have ownership and equity, whether it's in your house, whether it's something else. But if you want to see our kids making tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, which they can do, we have to get them to think about technology, equity, entrepreneurship at the very highest level. I was just talking to an entrepreneur you connected me with, Hayalam. And one of the things I said to him is, why are you accepting such a small amount of money for your company?
Yes, I remember that.
Why are these other people getting $5, $10, $15, $20 million of investment? And you're accepting something smaller. So I challenged him, and I connected him to a different venture capital company that can give him the kind of money he needs to really grow his company. So we need to elevate the level of our thinking for the kind of investment we get, the kind of companies we build. When I sold my company, I'll just go ahead and say this, just to give people an idea of what this looks like. I used to work for $4 an hour in high school at a water park. When I cleaned, I worked for $7 an hour. When I sold my company, I was paying my lawyer $1,000 an hour. And he was doing what I told him to do. I looked at that moment and I was like, holy cow, I can't believe this is happening. I also talked really quickly, okay? But that's what I mean. Anything you see on the news, our kids can do. Anything. Any company you read about, why can't our kids do that? Yep. Are we not smart enough? We're smart enough. We are some deeply intelligent people.
So sticking to that, Maui, you mentioned scalable. I have two questions, and I'll let the audience maybe ask one or so. Can you, I know you touched on technology, but can you explain what is a scalable versus a non-scalable solution? Like, what does that mean when you say scalable businesses or investment opportunities? Like, what are those that our community should start to think about?
Yeah, I'll give you a specific example. When I was a speaker, I would go speak, and when I got really good after I was on the Oprah show, I would speak over 100 times a year. At big companies you've heard of, like Chase Bank, Deloitte, Bank of America. These were my customers. But I was just a hamster running, like that restaurant owner. Tigist did a good job serving food yesterday, she gotta do a good job today, and a good job tomorrow, and a good job the next day. It's based on your own human labor as an entrepreneur. It's not scalable. I can't speak 5,000 times. And even when my speaking fee was very high, I got my speaking fee to where it was really high. Like where I can make, for some customers, tens of thousands of dollars in 1 hour of speaking. But when I went to online education, I would create the online classes. We'd put them on the server on the learning management system. One of my proudest moments, for example, was when a school in Ethiopia, some orphans started using my online classes in Addis Ababa. That happened. There were kids logging in. I never met them. I never met their teachers in Ethiopia who were using the classes I created. So now it's not about Maui. It's not about the king, it's about the kingdom. Okay? You're building something much bigger than yourself. I have a team of people. I have people who work for me. My systems live on the cloud, on the servers, and I get paid every single time a kid signs up for the first time or logs in or graduates. I don't have to do anything extra. So that's why you're seeing so much wealth generation with technology, computer science, online. When I graduated from Harvard, all the kids wanted to work at Goldman Sachs in finance or McKinsey. Now all of them want to work at Google, Facebook, Meta, all those companies like Apple, because they see what the opportunities are. You have computer programmers who are 22 years old, in some cases making over $300,000 a year if they get a job offer from Facebook or Google or a trading firm. Can you imagine that, 22 years old? You're making $350,000 a year as a computer programmer? That's happening for some of our kids. That's happening for kids. But again, if you want to see the biggest wealth generation, Hayalom, so again, but when I sold my company, I gave less than 10 speeches a year, but I made more than 10 times as much money. I had impact all over the world because it wasn't about me. It was about the technology. But you know who helped me do that too, Hayalom? I had mentors who told me, you're doing this the wrong way. It's not about, stop thinking about it, start thinking about us. Let me say that again. Stop thinking about it, stop thinking about us. As an entrepreneur, you always want to think about it. I gotta make the perfect this thing. I gotta create the product. I had to learn how to think about us. I had an executive coach, and Hayalom, I try to give back a little bit now with some of the entrepreneurs you've introduced me to in the Tigrai community. And you know why I do that? I was driving in my car one time, and sometimes I think we all think we hear something from God, but who knows if it's true or not, right? Or like, did I really hear it or not, right? But I asked God, I've been through a lot of challenges. My sister shared earlier, I lost my father, my brother, had a lot of different problems I went through my whole life. But I've also had a lot of success. So I said, God, why have you given me the opportunity to have the success? You know what the voice I heard from God was saying back? Said, if I give you success, it's so that you can serve me better. That's the only reason any of us had an opportunity to have any success in our lives. The reason that you've had an opportunity to be educated, to have success in your career, is to be a better servant, to make a difference, to give back.
Now, the final question I have for you, and I love what you said this earlier, is come with something if you want to get mentorship, right? Be mentor worthy is I think the phrase that you use. So my question for you, and this is both for our parents so they can take it back to their kids, and for the youth that are in here, like what can they do to be ready for these wealth generation opportunities?
Yeah.
Like what are the practical things, to your point, that would allow them to be mentor worthy?
Absolutely, that's a great question. What does it mean to be mentor worthy, right? If you want people to help you, how do you set that up to be helped yourself, right? And it's a fantastic question, and it's something I think about with my experience too. One of the things that's I want to touch on briefly as well, Hayalom, as I answer that question, is there's sometimes this belief in America, and you mentioned how like Ukraine is treated differently than Tigray. Sometimes, you know, we see what happens with violence, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes there's this narrative that because my skin is darker, there's some extra barriers to success, and I can't make it, right? And I think there are barriers to success that can be there. You know what my approach has always been, Hayalom? There is nothing that will prevent me from being successful. No kind of challenge. And if there's challenges around racism or something else, I'll conquer that like anything else. And I say that because sometimes that kind of thinking limits the aspirations You know how many contracts I signed with white people? A lot of them, hundreds of them. And they're very nice, and they're kind, and they gave me a lot of money. And they'll give contracts to you and our kids too. So the idea that we can't be successful in that other environment is not true. There's no limits to our success, but you have to go into it thinking and expecting that you're gonna be successful. There's many, many kind people of all backgrounds and races in this country, and they wildly outnumber the racists and the people that are gonna hold us down. Do you believe that? It's true.
It is.
It's true. So we cannot allow our kids or ourselves to be limited in one way iota at all. Instead, we should be thinking, you know what? The blood of Jignash flows through my veins. There's nothing I can't do. There's nowhere I can't go. I can create relationships and break barriers wherever I go. That's the expectation, that's my mindset. So the first thing you want to do if you want me to invest money in you is, I need to believe that you have an abundant vision of yourself. That they're not going to be thinking about, well, I can't do it because of this. I want you to be thinking, it's going to be challenging. If everybody could be successful as an entrepreneur, everybody would have done it. It wasn't easy for me to get on the Oprah show. And people come to me, how can I figure out? I'm like, that's your job. That's what it means to be an entrepreneur. You have to figure it out. You have to outsmart, outplay, out-hustle, and outwork, and make it and figure it out. Nobody gave any of these guys, nobody gave Mark Zuckerberg Facebook. Nobody gave anybody these guys. There were a lot of failed companies before them. You have to go take it. And guess what though? We're Chicano, man. We can go take it. We'll go fight and compete and outwork and out-hustle and outsmart people. We're not afraid of that challenge, are we? No, we're not afraid. We'll go hustle and outwork and outsmart anybody. So you have to have that vision. I think Lowell just joined us in the room. Are you in the room now, Lowell? Stand up.
Lowell, please
stand up. We already gave. So I expect Lowell, my expectation is you're gonna outsmart, out-hustle, outwork, and do whatever it takes to be successful. No one's gonna give you anything, but you gotta be there. And if I give you $1 in your company, my expectation is you're gonna do everything you can to give me a return on my money. Right? Yes. Same thing with Michael. You're gonna out-hustle, outwork everybody. So that's my first thing for our young people. Don't be afraid. Get in there, out-hustle, outwork. The second thing is, do something. There's a brother here in Chicagoland named Jonas, who I met him right when he came to America, from Tigray. He came to me and showed me his plan for his first franchise he was gonna start. It failed. I helped him work out the Excel model. He didn't go to college. He was in the armed forces for a while. He had some failures along the way. Do you know that now he owns over 30 Smoothie Kings? And he owns a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts? Now, a lot of people, some people will try to hate on Jonas. They'll be jealous of him. I emulate him, I imitate him, I say keep it up, and I tell him, Jonas, my expectation is you're gonna accomplish much more than I did. My only dream is that you're better than me. Don't be like me, be better than me. We expect the next generation to be smarter, better, faster, and better than us, and we're not gonna be jealous of you. We're not gonna be mad that you bought this or that. We gotta stop that garbage that sometimes we have when people become successful. We're like, well, how'd they get their money? Like I bet you someone hooked them up. Well, I bet you it came easy to them. No, cut that out. We need to celebrate success, support the success. Hey, my brother, congrats on this VP. I can't wait till you're the CEO, okay, brother? All right? That's what we gotta be talking about when we see success, okay? I speak that upon you, brother. You will be a CEO of a company and have massive impact and help lots of people and create tremendous impact in your future. I see that, brother. And anything I can do to support that, I will do that.
You can hire me as a CEO in your company, step one. No?
That's what you gotta do though, is you have to get out there, hustle, believe in yourself, have the business plan, get going. You know what I think is the single most important moment for entrepreneur? Your first customer, the first dollar that you get. Everyone has ideas, very few people take it there. You know what I found when people ask me about writing a book, Hayanom? You know what the single most important moment for an author of a book is? If they get to this moment, 90% of the people that I met finish and become a published author, you know what it is? It doesn't depend on how good the book is. It doesn't depend on how smart the person is. You know what the single most important thing is? Can they finish a rough draft from start to finish? Can they write one complete rough draft of the document? Because a lot of people will tell you they're going to write a book. A lot of people will tell you they're dreaming of writing a book. Almost no one does it, Hayalom. So you know what it takes to join the tech cohort here and to get going on this? Get your first $1. Go out there, get your first customer. Once we see as a community that you have a customer, you're hustling, you're betting on yourself, now it became easier. Now it became easier. And Jonas is working on another company. I'm helping him with that company too. Okay? So that's what it takes for all the youth out there. Hustle, get out there, get started, then share your ideas with us. If you need help to get started on the idea, you don't know how to do a rough draft, tell us. We'll tell you, we'll help you, we'll point you in the right direction. There are so many books out there about wealth generation in different ways. One of my favorite books is called Fast Lane Millionaire. That book will help you think about wealth generation outside of the typical corporate way. I'll say it again. It's MJ DeMarco, Fast Lane Millionaire. The reality is some of us will be more corporate people like yourself. High five, congrats, do that. Don't ever feel bad if you are taking a traditional route. God bless you. God has created you for that, and we need that in our community as well. And it's not that one route is better than the other. We need all routes. We need success in the corporate arena. We need success in the nonprofit arena. We need success in the tech arena. We can succeed everywhere. We're gonna take it all, okay? All right, there's no limits to where we're gonna go, all right?
That's awesome.
But that's the mindset we have to bring. Hayalom. And so to me, that's what it means to be mentor worthy.
Love that.
You have to work harder than me if you want me to mentor you. For my mentors, I try to do stuff for them too and help them a lot, Hayalom. Give back to them. So above all, I just want to give our community in this time a message of hope, Hayalom.
Yeah.
Right now, people expect the Tigray community to be small. We're getting beat, you know, we had a lot of problems with the war, and we're just gonna be like this. No, we're gonna come out harder and smarter and better than you've ever seen us. All right, we're gonna come out harder, smarter, better, more successful than you've ever seen us, and that's our approach to life. That's the spirit we have to bring. That's what the Jagano are doing back home. That's what we gotta do right here, all over the diaspora. So that'll be my closing message, Hayalom.
My brother. Thank you. So, by the way, the next time I go to a board meeting, I'm going to be calling, Maui and say, hey, I need to get hyped up. I need to get motivated. I don't know about you, but juices are flowing right now. So thank you so much, Brother Maui.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Howard.
Love you, brother.
We can give another round of applause for Mr. Maui and Hayalom. Thank you. If you are not involved with Tagaro Professionals Network, TPN, please go to our sign-up table in the hallway. This is what we're trying to create. This is what we've been working hard for the last 4 years. And we have to build the community we want to see, so please get involved.